Good morning. Welcome to the Carroll County Commissioners' open session for Thursday, April 24th. And it's nice to have such a friendly crowd. We'll start like we always like to with Pledge of Allegiance and moment of silence. Do we have any idea whose turn it is?
I think it's, is it,
Mr. Rothstein.
What?
my official job, I keep that straight.
Okay. It's beautiful outside.
Yes.
I wonder why I'm in here. No, it is gorgeous. I'm hoping everyone does get the opportunity, as this weather's breaking, to enjoy time outside. Sunshine's awesome for the soul and for family and friends. So take advantage of it as I'm sitting here looking out a window of blue sky. But a few things I just want to share, and I think we have a couple items we're going to talk about that are going to be further discussed. The Veteran Celebration on May 4th. I did share that for my upcoming podcast. The importance of the celebration being the third year doing it. I'm not going to steal the thunder of those that can share more details and excitement about it, but it's going to be a great day. And I'm so, we're blessed to have so many volunteers and so many folks engaged in celebrating our Carroll County veteran community and our veteran community in the region. I attended the budget session or the budget discussion from Mr. Zaleski last night and Heidi Pippin. The two of them did a great job at the Eldersburg Library. If you haven't gone yet to one of the two, there's three more to get insight on some of the decision making that we have made up here on the dais. There's a slide deck that is available online. The budget itself, which will be still draft, will be available probably next week. I don't want to say early next week. There's a lot to do for that budget team to package that, but the budget itself will be ready next week. And again, that's still draft until we make our final decisions, which are scheduled for May 22nd, to adopt the budget. I'm very proud of a lot of the decisions we've made, collegially up here and also listening to the community. The schools especially have been key. We say safety, security in schools, and I think we got a trifecta in the recommendation for the budget. I mean, the security, the state's attorney's building, recommending $13 million upfront, to build a building. There you got security. Safety, 14 positions, I believe, we recommended for fire EMS. So funding our safety. The schools, recommending $13 million operationally to continue the schools the way they should be continued and a path forward, and looking forward to continue working with them in the delegation on this waiver that'll come out now April 28th. We take a step forward. Let's work with the state to ensure that they take a step forward as well. So I look forward to having the joint meeting this afternoon with the Board of Education as well. Although it may not be available for public comment, it's always available and open to the community to listen, learn, and help us lead a path forward with the schools. And the last thing, just very quickly, MPRP has been in the news a lot because the contracted entity, the PSENG out of New Jersey, has gone to court to try and get themselves on private properties, to include county properties, to survey where they would like to put these power lines. And property owners are, along with the county, are saying, don't tread on me, don't come onto our property, it's ours. And therefore they went to court, and we're going through that process. I am proud of the collaboration and the message that we're all saying, whether it's the sheriffs from Carroll County and Frederick County, the delegations from everyone, all of us up here and all of you, saying again, don't tread on me. This is not the right time. So, we'll see where that goes. And the governor coming out yesterday also talking very adamantly about eminent domain and the importance of not accepting eminent domain, and ensuring that there's processes. So that's been, important. Those are the few things I think that are on my mind. So with that, hopefully everybody had a good Easter too. That was like the other day too.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Now it's you.
Well, thank you, Commissioner. Good morning, everybody. I will first associate myself with Commissioner Rothstein's comments about going through budgeting, and especially also about MPRP, and knowing that the sheriff and the governor are also recommitted to the fight that we're all in against this thing. I think it's incredibly important that it's not just our citizens having to stand alone against. We are all with them. We are all with you. So just a couple quick things from me. Again, Commissioner Rothstein had touched on MPRP. I hope everyone had a wonderful Easter, and for those who are mourning the passing of Pope Francis, I'm mourning with you. My prayers are with you and with him. This week I had the privilege of attending the Public Library Board of Trustees meeting. I always enjoy attending with the board meeting. It's a good group of people, good staff who attend. And in particular last night, I think it's worth noting that they passed a policy, or they adopted a policy last night in particular, that I really do want to commend and applaud, where our library system is not going to be taking books or content that has been generated by creative artificial intelligence. And I think that's incredibly important. When you use AI to help attempt to cure a disease, that's one thing. But when you use it in the creative field, that's something completely different. There's an example I used last night in the discussion. There's an old, description for probability theory that you can put a bunch of monkeys in a room with typewriters, and eventually they would come up with Shakespeare. Enough random strokes on enough keys and enough time, they'd come up with Hamlet. But the reality of it is that it would not be Hamlet. You would have something approximating Hamlet, because what's missing is the human element in that. There's no human intent, there's no purpose, there's no deeper meaning to what's being created. There's no love, there's no experience, there's no soul, there's no transcendental sense of the divine in what's been created as well. And so when you deny what is utterly human about us by exporting something that is specifically human to a non-human entity, we end up denying who we are as human beings. And so I really cannot commend the library enough for making that stand right now, because AI is proliferating, it's being used everywhere. And the fact that our library system is saying, no, we're only going to be taking content from human beings, it really does matter. And on that note, Roberta, do we have an AI policy ourselves at the county level? Do we have?
Yes and no. It's not used, in any way to create content like that, but there are some programs that are, everyone uses Microsoft programs, and they have an AI component in them. So if you buy it, you've got it. Does that make sense?
I'm just kind of curious, because I'm not, certainly don't want to export everything we do to AI as a tool to assist. It's one thing,
Right.
But when you replace the human element of something, it's again totally different.
So that's sort of, it's a little
Okay.
bit of a mix.
Thank you very much. Just curious about that. And then the last thing I'll talk about is this coming weekend on Saturday, New Windsor and Tawnytown will be hosting Earth Day-related activities. Beginning at 8 o'clock a.m. in New Windsor, volunteers can gather at City Hall to receive supplies to help clean and beautify the town by doing things like putting in new flowers and shrubs for the season. And then in Tawnytown at 1 p.m. at Memorial Park, volunteers can gather together to get supplies, and then everybody's going to be spreading out to different parks across town to clean and bag trash and other detritus. I've attended both of these events numerous times in the past. I'm going to try to get to both of them this weekend as well. They're always enjoyable, and it's always cool to have a part in to participating. And then on Sunday, the Tawnytown History Museum will be opening for their seasonal exhibition. That's at 1 o'clock p.m., and that's always interesting to attend. This year, the Tawnytown History Museum, and it's not just Tawnytown, it's the entire surrounding area, all the unincorporated areas around Tawnytown as well. Their seasonal exhibit this year is called A to Z, and they've been able to track down something in northwestern Carroll County history that features the first letter of the alphabet for something that has had historical significance for the county and the area. And their exhibits are always very interesting and very worth checking out. And that's all for me this morning.
Well, thank you. Good morning, Carroll County. I have to ask you, though, Commissioner Vigliotti, let me know what Z is. I'm highly curious if you, when you check that out.
I will let you know, because I had the same question. And the last time I talked to them at the History Day at the high school, what you and I and Commissioner Rothstein attended, they were still trying to figure out what Z was. So
That one I'll be curious about.
or X for that matter.
First and foremost, just want to give a heartfelt thank you for, yesterday was Administrative Professionals Day, and just want to thank all of our administrative professionals for all their hard work and dedication here within the county, but not just the county, anywhere in Carroll County. Just want to say thank you. Your work does not go unnoticed, and believe me, it is incredibly appreciated. This past week, I attended a couple events, as you see here on the screen. First was at the Peep Show, which I'm not sure the total count, but it was well over 10,000 people in attendance. It's always just a wonderful event, truly creative. It's nice to see a lot of individuals, not only from Carroll County, but also outside of the county coming into this premier event. The creativity that goes into this is just exceptional. But as always, just a wonderful event. Also, this week, myself and my colleagues were in attendance outside for the proclamation for National Work Zone Awareness Week. Proclamation, this year's theme is Respect the Zone so we all go home. Very important. We think about fire EMS, but very important to think about those that are working in construction zones and also the public going through them. There are just so many issues and concerns that we wouldn't have if everybody would just be a little slower, take your time, be aware of where you are when you're traveling through those types of areas, because at the end of the day, everybody's just doing a job and they want to get home, be it the public, be it those individuals. So if we could, let's just be a little more aware. And last but certainly not least, here in Westminster, I had the pleasure of being in attendance at the Find Your Purpose Easter egg hunt Saturday at Westminster City Park. Here's a small sampling, and I do mean small sampling, of just some of the kids out Easter egg hunting within the park. Always an exceptional event. Great to see the community come together. It's just something that to get to see that level of joy and happiness on kids, and parents are truly happy to be there as well. Just an awesome event. So as always, great to see these kind of things occurring, and that's all for me.
You didn't knock over that kid, did you?
No, I actually was placing eggs out there for a while. I had a hefty bag before we were putting out.
Good morning, Carroll County. A lot of ground covered this morning. I'll just hit some high notes. It was mentioned again that the Accountability Implementation Board will hold a special meeting virtually on Monday, April 28th at 2 o'clock. So, and people can tune into that. And it's not too late to send your comments and requests to the AIB and ask them to support our waiver request. The budget was mentioned. I think the budget will be online very shortly. There's a lot there. So. That'll be available for you this evening in Mount Airy at the Carroll County Public Library there from 7 to 9. Our budget director, Mr. Zaleski, will be there with his budget road show. So if you live in Mount Airy, don't forget the county budget does affect you if you live in town there. So show up and ask your questions. That's all for me.
Thank you. And I'll try to piggyback. Most of what I've got to say has been covered, but a couple things. We talked about the transmission line and the sheriffs. I just want to make sure everybody understands, if you think you're having an emergency, don't decide if it's civil or what it is, or call 911, and the emergency center will handle the call and give you advice like they always do. But don't read some of these letters as if you're not going to get a response. You'll get a response. Easter was great. For our house, we lost electric at about 11 p.m. on Saturday and got it back Monday morning. So we loaded up Easter dinner and took it to our son's house so we could have Easter dinner with everyone. And you mentioned both holidays, and Commissioner Rothstein, on Sunday, you celebrated both, right?
Well, no, no. No, I celebrated Passover. I support my wife in celebrating this.
So you celebrated both.
I-
Yeah, I think it's neat. And tomorrow morning, I'm going to be at Grandparents' Day at Grayland School. I have two granddaughters there, and one of them's an 8th grader, and I haven't made one yet. Rhonda's already there. But I'm going to join her, and we're going to do Grandparents' Day, so that'll be fun. We meet the health department once a month. We had a meeting there, and it was great as always. And I think it serves a good purpose to do that, because hopefully we avoid some surprises. You know, it's good communication, and I'm glad we do it. I couldn't participate, but I could watch a solar hearing that was evidentiary, and it's interesting. A couple of the ones I co-hosted, I made a point, because I've never seen a project that Public Service Commission doesn't seem to like. If you do approve any of ours, please don't waive our requirements. Let it go through plan review. Let it meet our standards. You're going to overrule whether we allow it or not, but we'll do a fair review and a quick review. And it was interesting, in this hearing, it was Judge Grace, and she specifically asked the solar company, what exceptions are you going to try to get with Carroll County? You know, when will you not follow their rules and setbacks? And I had commented pretty strongly, they want to do 6-foot trees, and they implied trees don't grow well in berms, so they don't want to do a berm, and they only want to do 6-foot trees. I had told them at the meeting where I could talk that I've done 30 and 40-foot trees, but they can certainly do 12-foot trees. And if they strip the topsoil and make that into a berm, trees will grow quite well in it. So I think they're just being cheap, but it'll be curious. And they said, if we have to meet Carroll County's requirements, the project isn't viable. We can't change it. So the judge, all the judges, they have 4 judges, they're listening to us. Now, where we'll be, I'm not sure, but I was pleasantly surprised that she specifically asked about our rules. Budget, everybody's mentioned, and it's going well, and we value everyone's comments. And we do have Carroll County Public Schools this afternoon at 1. No public comment, but it's open to the public, and that'll be an interesting, good meeting. And we do it quarterly, and this one's probably the hotter meeting because it's budget time, but we do it quarterly, and it's good meetings. And I think that's got me done, and we have National Apprentice Day proclamation that Commissioner Garen's going to share with us.
We do. April 30th is National Apprenticeship Day. If we have some representatives, if you'd like to come on up, I'll go ahead and read the proclamation, and then we can chat a little bit about it. Okay. So as mentioned, April 30th is National Apprenticeship Day. National Apprenticeship Day is a nationwide celebration where all partners, industry representatives, apprentices, labor and community organizations, workforce partners, educational institutions, and all levels of government host events to showcase the value of registered apprenticeships for strengthening national, state, and local economies by creating career pathways and developing a skilled workforce to meet industry needs. And registered apprenticeships offer in-demand career training for business to develop, train, and retain their workforce. Tax credits and employee tuition benefits may assist businesses in building a skilled workforce that helps to improve productivity and profitability, thus growing their businesses. And Carroll County recognizes the role of registered apprenticeships in expanding workforce opportunities, providing a path for all qualified individuals to become apprentices and contribute to our economic growth. And Carroll County acknowledges the registered apprenticeships are a proven industry-driven training model and a key strategy to improving job quality and creating access to good-paying, family-sustaining jobs for all, starting with youth and young adults. And the Carroll County Workforce Department Board and Workforce Department Development Agency, Carroll Community College, Carroll County Public Schools, Maryland Department of Labor, and local business community work collaboratively to strengthen Carroll County's economy through apprenticeships. Together, we are creating sustainable, robust career pathways that empower our citizens. And we celebrate the thriving Carroll County registered apprenticeships. Workforce Development champions 20 local businesses with support of which support 17 registered youth apprenticeships, along with 4 additional businesses and active apprenticeships. And Carroll County Community College is involved with 206 registered apprentices in electrical, HVAC, and millwork trades. Now, therefore, we, the Board of Carroll County Commissioners, do hereby proclaim April 30th, 2025 as National Apprenticeship Day. And we've got representatives from all those agencies and organizations I just mentioned. So thank you for being here this
Yes.
morning.
Thank you. I'll start. Denise Beaver, Director of Economic Development. Obviously, apprenticeship, as you mentioned in the proclamation, is very important for local businesses and developing a workforce to meet their needs. And it is a proven model, and it's very successful, and we're very pleased to be here today with our workforce partners. On behalf of the Carroll County Workforce Development Board, which I'm a partner and sit on that board, as well as some of the other agencies that are represented here today. So I'm going to pass it to Heather, and she's going to talk about and introduce our guests today, and then we have an additional certificate that we'll present at the end.
Thank you. Welcome. Thank you, Commissioners, for welcoming us today. If it feels like we've been here and we've had this conversation recently, we did, because National Apprenticeship Day we just celebrated in November, but it has been moved to April going forward. So we took this opportunity to put our partnership in front of you, because we are passionate about this, and we think this is going to drive economic development and the ability to keep our residents living and working in Carroll County in sustainable career pathways. As represented today, we have a host of people at the table with me. I have Dr. Cynthia McCabe, Dr. Rose Mintz, and they'll speak shortly. I also have Carroll County Public Schools, Angie McCausland and Bill Eccles, who are part of our boots on the ground team that work closely in our partnership. We have a special guest, Olivia Strine, who we'll hear from later. We also have from Carroll County Workforce Development, Stan Whiteman, Tammy Casson, and Scott Singleton, who work hard every day, whether they're in the school system or business services, working in this collaboration. Excuse me, I think I swallowed a lot of pollen on the way over. So I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Mintz and let her talk about the work that they've been doing in Carroll Community College.
Thank you. My pleasure. So good morning.
Morning.
It's an honor to be here today as we celebrate an important moment in our community's continued growth and success. Today, we highlight the incredible work we're doing in partnership with Carroll County Workforce Development, the Maryland Department of Labor, Carroll County Public Schools, and several industry partners to equip our students with the skills, experiences, and opportunities they need to succeed in today's economy. This collaboration has been instrumental in providing apprenticeship opportunities that are essential for workforce development, and vital for building long-term sustainable career pathways for our students. These partnerships, supported by the Maryland Apprenticeship Training Council, help students navigate the complexities of apprenticeship training and provide them with access to a wealth of resources. Apprenticeships are an excellent example of earn while you learn opportunities. Our students gain hands-on experience in the real world by earning wages, all the while pursuing their educational goals. So one example that was mentioned, the electrical apprenticeship program, is comprehensive. It spans 4 years with 630 hours of classroom instruction and 8,000 hours of on-the-job training. Over the course of their journey, apprentices progress from a helper to an apprentice and ultimately to a journeyman. The median wage for an electrician in Maryland, for example, is $31 per hour, a testament to the earning potential and job security associated with these skilled professions. At Carroll Community College, we are proud of our role in training and educating the next generation of skilled professionals. In the 2024-25 academic year, we provided related instruction to 135 electrical apprentices, 29 of whom will graduate as journeymen this year. Additionally, 55 heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and refrigerant apprentices are progressing in their programs, and 11 of them will graduate soon as journeymen. We are also seeing exciting growth in some new areas, including millwright apprentices at Heidelberg Materials and the recent approval of our plumbing apprenticeship program, which will launch in the fall. Thanks to a recently awarded grant, we are also offering a degree-based hospitality apprenticeship program, which is a pioneering initiative in the hospitality industry. The benefits of apprenticeship programs are numerous. For students, they provide a clear career pathway, hands-on learning, and access to high-wage jobs with long-term security. The Earn While You Learn model allows students to support themselves financially while pursuing their education, eliminating much of the financial burden associated with traditional schooling. For employers, apprenticeships offer a unique opportunity to develop a skilled workforce while fostering employee loyalty and reducing turnover. Employers benefit from investing in their employees' growth while playing a crucial role in shaping the industry's future. So to conclude, this is a very exciting time for our college, our community, and most importantly for our students whose futures are being shaped by these partnerships, programs, and pathways. Thank you for your continued support, and I look forward to working alongside each of you in this room to continue making a difference in the lives of our students and the broader community.
Thank you, Dr. Minston. Dr. McCabe?
Yes, good morning.
Morning.
The Maryland Youth Apprentice program in Carroll County has been growing over the past 4 years. It's designed for our students ages 16 and up, focusing on sustainable employment, as Dr. Mintz was just describing, and further education in various career paths. It provides 11th and 12th graders with valuable career skills, networking opportunities with industry partners, and allows them to learn while they earn, which is really important for our students. And we have a cohesive working relationship with the Department of Labor, the Carroll County Local Workforce Development Board, and the college. And we've provided a multifaceted approach to career development for our students. We have been leading the way on apprenticeships, hosting 5 education apprentices last year and another 6 this year in education and information technology positions. At this time, we have the great honor to have senior Olivia Strine from Winters Mill High School here with us, and she will be sharing her experience as a youth apprentice. Olivia is a Teacher Academy of Maryland program completer and is currently an education apprentice at the Career and Technology Center. Olivia.
Hi, I'm Olivia Strine, and I'm a special education apprentice for the Career and Tech Center. I kind of just I have 2 students in the Academy of Health Professions department at the Tech Center, and we help develop their independent skills and their job skills to be ready for the future, for getting them jobs and helping them just be more independent and kind of just furthering those skills.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Olivia? I think one of the important things to note, we talk a lot, we use terms like apprenticeship and internship, and they're really not interchangeable. Apprenticeship is working and learning and being paid, where an internship is more of an introduction to different occupations. So we're really pleased to have this opportunity for young people. And this is one of the things that we're working on to make businesses more aware and knowledgeable. Different students that are 18, whether they're in an apprenticeship, might limit things they can do with a business, where when they're in an apprenticeship, they are an employee. So the nuances are important, shouldn't be overlooked. So this is the work that we're doing in cooperation with all the agencies. And again, I think it's part of our master plan in Carroll. It's our future talent pipeline, and it's a good alternative to traditional ways of education first and then occupation. This combines both, so people can live and work in our county at the same time.
So can I ask, so the idea of sustainable employment, right? I know with my generation, the millennials, right, there was a lot of emphasis less on career building than there was experience in work, right? So I use my sister as a perfect example. She may stay with a job for a couple of months or a couple of years, and then she wants to move on because she wants to experience something new and something different. And so with this newer generation that's coming up now, are you seeing the same sorts of things, that they want to experience different jobs, or do they want to find a specific career and stay with that career? Is there a generational difference already? Or is it more of the same, that there's, the love of experience versus the holding one particular job?
I'll start, and then I'll turn it over to Ms. McCausland. But I would say that what we're seeing is students who are interested in in attaining certain skills that pertain to the passions that they have. And how they end up using those throughout their career may change. They may have different careers, different positions, but they will be using the types of skills that they learn at a very young age with us, and then moving up through either career or college.
Good morning. I would say that it's really a mixture of both. We have students who enter career and technology programs to explore different opportunities within those programs. Some students go in and they know they want to be an electrician, while other students may enter a program and say, this is not what I thought it was. And I think that's a great opportunity for our students, and also offers cost savings to our community. Additionally, we have students who absolutely know what they want to do, and the Youth Apprenticeship Program allows us to make those connections with our industry professionals and to kind of grow our own within the county. I know with the Teacher Academy of Maryland program that Olivia completed and is now doing a paid apprenticeship for Carroll County Public Schools, that really helps us build the whole grow your own idea of teaching. We know that teaching is a critical shortage area around the country, really, and this provides us a really good opportunity to bring our current students up to become the teachers that we want them to be within Carroll County Public Schools. So it really is a great opportunity, and it also provides students who maybe are interested in a program that we don't offer at the Career and Technology Center or in our comprehensive high schools, the opportunity to go out and experience that career prior to going on to post-secondary education or entering the workforce.
Awesome. Thank you.
The mentors are so important, be it in a job or any of these programs. Do you guys does each person have a specific mentor, or is it just a company? How do you help train the mentors, or how do you do it, and how do you match people with that?
Who wants to jump on that one?
I can jump on that one. So having the appropriate mentor is very important, especially in the youth apprenticeship, because we're talking about teenagers. And so we have our career coordinators at the high schools go out and meet with their businesses, and we partner with workforce development and Tammy's team to make those connections. But it's important that we identify within the business a specific mentor. So it's not just the general business. There is a individual person who is assigned as the mentor for the apprentice. So they have somebody who's their go-to, right? Somebody that they know is there to help them learn, help them understand, keep them safe. And so we work with the companies to identify an appropriate person for that. And then with the youth apprentices, we check in and make sure that it's going well. We check with the employer, with the mentor, and with the apprentice to make sure everybody is comfortable and satisfied with it, so it's a good experience.
Thank you.
The work we're doing with youth apprenticeship versus registered apprenticeship is a ladder that we're building, because the importance is if somebody's a youth apprenticeship and then they can feed into registered apprenticeship, they're coming into the registered apprenticeship with credit under their belt. So it shortens the amount of time that their registered apprenticeship lasts. So if we don't have any other questions, Denise has a presentation real
We
quickly.
also want to take this opportunity to present a certificate of appreciation to Carroll County Public Schools. Obviously, you've heard they're a very strong partner here, and they're kind of leading the way in taking apprenticeships under their belt and under their guidance and under their mentorship. So on behalf of the Carroll County Department of Economic Development and the Carroll County Workforce Development Board, we have this certificate in recognition of the school system support and commitment to registered apprenticeships, fostering skill development and strengthening our workforce. The dedication to training and mentoring, as you mentioned, and empowering apprenticeships is vital in building and retaining top talent and ensuring a skilled and thriving future for Carroll County. With gratitude, we commend your invaluable contributions to workforce development and the success of apprenticeship programs. So thank you very much. Thank you both for your partnerships. I think economic development, Carroll County, workforce development, and the board, Carroll County, again, as you know, we have wonderful partnerships, and workforce development is one of those shining partnerships I think that we can all be thankful for. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
And I think that's such a good point, because, and I always try to interject that I love Carroll County, but I swear other counties do not work together as well as people do here, and it's just awesome. So thank you.
It is. Small and mighty.
Yes.
That's what we are.
So we need a photo, and I don't know how many you want to come up.
Ask all your folks to come up.
You stay up here.
Stay in the back here.
Think. Bring them all up and pull off your name tags. We know you're allowed in the building by now.
Hello, Denise. How are you?
Yes, yes. Did you guys rehearse the handoff for answers, or that's just natural? Thank you. Thank you. Awesome. Seeing you. Thank you. You made me drink water as soon as you choked a little bit. I guess it's contagious.
I think so.
Yes, I think so.
Ben, you just can't get away anywhere.
Cindy, but she's away. I dressed myself this morning.
You just can't get away, can you?
Nope. So, Veterans Celebration is quickly approaching, and we're gonna hear a good commercial about it today, right?
So we have a lot of friends here today. I'm Celine Steckel, the Director of Citizen Services, and I'm joined today with, this is Bill Nash. He is the president, the chair of our Veterans Advisory Council. We also have Bob Eney this morning with us. He is the chair of our Veterans Celebration Committee. Rick Pollard is one of our Veteran Service officers with our Veteran Services program. We also have other special friends in the audience that are very important. Jane Sewell, who is the manager at the Farm Museum. She is instrumental in this because the event that we're hosting is the Veterans Celebration of Carroll County on May 4th. It's our 4th annual celebration. It's from noon until 4. It's a Sunday, not a Saturday. And everyone is invited. We also have Christine Cambereri with our Commissioner's Office. She is on our event committee as well, and driving force behind this event. Victoria Parks, who used to be with our department, who is now in Human Resources, is also instrumental in this event, and she has been a lot of support to us, still being able to provide some services from her different role. So, and we also have Tony Roman. He is our Veteran Services Case Management Coordinator with our department, and he does a lot of work with our at-risk veterans, homeless veterans, and really provides essential services to them. So
Jane is the site, and will do a better job of controlling the weather this year.
She has ordered sunshine and comfortable temps. Did I miss anyone? No. And of course, all of you, we wanted to thank for helping to support this event and allowing us to do that, and Roberta as well, and the entire team. So, but a little bit more about the event. I love our events that we do with our department, and this is one of my favorites as well. We are inviting everyone to join us to celebrate our veterans, and it's not just veterans in Carroll County, it's veterans across the nation we want to celebrate and recognize. This event will be at the Farm Museum in Westminster, and we are celebrating veterans, military, and their families. Everyone's invited and encouraged to attend. This event is going to have live entertainment, food, food truck vendors, children's activities, military exhibits, crafters, face painters, balloon artists, and more. This year, we have the Westminster Municipal Band joining us to do a performance. We also have Midnight Run coming to the event. They're an ongoing performer and a crowd pleaser for sure. So they will be there in the afternoon. We are also excited this year to have support from our Carroll County Rec and Parks Department. They're going to be hosting a Gaga pit for youth. So, and anyone that wants to get into the Gaga pit. So if you're not familiar with that, come out and take a look at what it is. And I can attest to this, that the youth love it. So they'll be manning that for us. We also have Westminster Strength and Conditioning this year coming out with an obstacle course, and that is open to all. So wear your active gear if you want to participate in that. They'll have some timed activities there and also some training. So come out and enjoy that new event as well. This event is a celebration of our veterans, and we are recognizing the veterans that served during the Cold War era. That is, if they served during the time frame of 1974 to 1992. You didn't have to be in combat as long as you served in the military during that time. You commissioners will be recognizing them, and they will receive a challenge coin and a certificate and an opportunity to talk with you all as well. It's always a great time during that period for veterans to really have some face time with all of you and get their recognition that they deserve. So whether you know a veteran or you are a veteran, please come to this event and share the day with us. I want to turn it over to Bill Nash at this time to talk a little bit from the Veterans Advisory Council perspective about the event and how this coordinated partnership with the commissioners and then also the VAC has come to be.
Well, really, I don't have too much to say in that respect, but on behalf of the Veterans Council and all of the veterans in Carroll County and around Carroll County, I want to thank all of you for your support. Carroll County probably has, no, not probably, they do have the very best programs for veterans in the state and possibly the nation. We should be a role model for the rest of the country. And again, thank you very much for your support for all the programs that you do support for the veterans of Carroll County.
Okay. Bob, did you want to say a few words as the chair of the planning committee?
Well, like he said, we appreciate the backing from you guys, because we didn't have your backing, we couldn't do this. And every year it gets better. And we're going to hold you to the weather, okay? And hopefully next year we're even going to get bigger.
And one of the biggest pieces of this event is there is a Veteran Service Organization resource fair on site. We have over 30 vendors that will be there providing information about the resources that we have here locally, and then some across the state that are accessible, and even with the VA that are accessible to veterans. So they will be here on site to answer questions. And specifically with our Veteran Services Program, Rick is going to give us a little bit of an update and information on what our program does.
Good morning. I believe I know most of you. And I think you're familiar with the Veteran Services Program. Thank you. Just to kind of recap what we do, we assist county veterans in acquiring their VA benefits, whether they're compensation claims, pensions, health care benefits, final arrangements and burial benefits, and also benefits to family members, what they might be entitled to. So on average, we see about 300 clients a year. During this event, for the last couple years now, we're seeing more veterans at this event, and we're converting those contacts to where we're actually following up with maybe 20 to 25 veterans, filing claims on their behalf, answering questions, and it gives us a chance to connect with those vets that we may not have been able to make contact with. So it's a very productive event. We enjoy doing it, and thank you for your support. And can I answer any questions?
More about the specific event. And the flyer says it's free admission, free parking. You don't have to be a veteran or a veteran's family. Everyone's invited. There's food and refreshments there that you have to pay for.
Correct.
But the event is free, and we just want to see everybody there.
Correct. And then also,
And he kind of said it before you talked. I do think we have the best veterans program in Carroll County and the state, and like you say, maybe more than in the state. It's you guys do an awesome job.
thank you. And can I also add, when you're saying what's going to be there in the food and the per cost, for veterans specifically, we do also offer a $5 coupon to use at any of the food or dessert vendors. And then also we'll have complimentary water for everyone throughout the venue. It'll be in coolers. And then we also have amenities specific to veterans, and a sports pack that they can get, a bag celebrating and commemorating this celebration there. So, and we also have a commemorative pin for veterans, so just encouraging them to stop by the front desk when they're coming through the gates, and we will hook them up with all the goodies. The other piece, though, I did want to recognize also, we have sponsors of this event, and we couldn't do this without them as well. And our stage sponsor this year is Performance Food Group, and then we also have the Callert Foundation sponsoring with a golf cart sponsor, which is excellent because we have additional golf carts this year to help transport folks back and forth to different places in the venue for those that have some mobility concerns or just want to get from one side to the other a little quicker. So we're happy to be able to offer that this year. And we also will be, having some other great events for the kids, such as an activities book that the Farm Museum helps to put together, a scavenger hunt, the playground, cornhole sets that are available for open play, and of course the farm friends at the Farm Museum are always a big hit as well.
Yeah, I just want to add, just quickly, Rick, thank you for all you're doing, along with the others. For every veteran, I believe, that is receiving benefits or is in the system, there is a half a dozen that aren't in Carroll County. And you're thinking, how can that be? We have thousands of veterans that, whether they believe, oh, I was only in the Guard, or I only served 6 months or 18 months or 12 months, and, it was back in 1960 something or whatever it was, everyone is eligible to be put in the system. You don't have to be what you think is disabled or not. This is a unpaid political announcement. It is 0% is a percent. And this is not a competition of what percent you should get. It's not a competition of other entities that may be out there and other nonprofits. The reason we do it so well here in Carroll County is because you and all of you are inclusive in bringing people together. It's not a duplication of services, it is a inclusion. So this sometimes attitude of, well, they don't do it well over here and we're going to do it over here, we need to somehow continue to strive in the inclusivity of our veteran support, because we do it so well. We are a model in the state, and I speak to a lot of folks across the country that have veteran programs. They're colleagues of mine that are retired old people like me, and we're like, okay, how are we going to inject? And we're doing it well, and I take this template and I share it. What kind of gets me sometimes is when there's this competitiveness that, you know, is looking at us. I'm like, no, we take that word out of the system. You know, we are inclusive. We are a part of a greater good. So I applaud everything, you know, Rick, obviously you're doing, especially for me, because it seems like I get broken every other month, it seems lately.
My
But
favorite client.
yeah, I know. It's crazy. But my heart is doing well, so I'm life is good. Yeah, whatever we can do. The other really great thing, and I appreciate the Keller Foundation, you mentioned them. We got such a great community. When you got somebody like, you know, the Keller Foundation saying, what else can I do? I mean, why didn't you call on me last year? Why, you know, I'm like, wow, you know, people just wanting to be a part of this great team. So, and then that's, you know, from your leadership and Gina's and everybody, Bobby's and everybody that is a part of the system. So I'm excited for this, obviously, and very excited every day knowing that you all are doing what you're doing, you know, for our veterans. So thank you.
Just a small statistic, there are 13,500 veterans in Carroll County.
Yep. Yep.
So it's a large number.
It is a large number.
And one other thing, when you were talking about the veterans and the VSOs and filing claims, that often includes an appointment with a medical professional to get their disability rating in some cases. And some people are concerned about transportation, and we do have our medical transport for veterans, our Veterans Transportation Shuttle. And so that is a free resource we offer here as well, and that can be accessed through our Bureau of Aging and Disabilities, and also through our VSOs can help. And so that's a great resource that we have in Carroll, and again, supported by you folks through your efforts. And one of the things I do want to plug is that we will have one of our shuttles at the event on May 4th. So if you have never seen the shuttle, our Mad Dog shuttle, our veteran shuttle will be there for folks to view.
Other counties are very jealous of our Mad Dog shuttle because I get countless calls from mainly people in Baltimore County that want to use the shuttle. And so far, we have not been able to expand it to include other counties. Maybe something we may want to consider in the future.
Well, I've been trying to consider that from day one. It's just getting others to get on board. You know, I mean, that was Secretary Owings and Secretary Woods, you know, always looking at us as a model. And yeah, I would love to get Baltimore County and the others.
As long as they're willing to contribute.
As long as they're willing to, yeah.
There's the sticking point.
So,
Yeah,
Cool.
thank you.
All right. Very good. Thank you all.
We wanted,
Thank you.
Oh, that's right. We have some gifts for all of you.
Oh, my gosh.
can we do a picture?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And we want to get you all up here for a
doesn't
photo,
deserve
everybody that's with you.
What did you give her one for?
I only do what I'm told.
I don't feel special anymore. Take your badge off. Take that sticker off.
Yep.
You tell me that every time I come here.
Well,
Good to see you, brother.
one of these days.
Thank you, guys. And
What are you looking at me for? You look at me automatically?
Okay, well,
Good seeing you, Tony.
thank you, sir. Thank you.
oh, cool, thanks, Rick.
Good seeing you, brother.
Good to see you. I'll see you on May 4th.
Yeah, I don't know about that. There's only one guy.
Good seeing you, brother.
That's Nash's.
Like, you don't even want to.
Yeah, like it's not even close.
Okay, now we're going to talk about the Consolidated Transportation Plan.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Commissioners. Claire and I are here today, as we are every year around this time, to talk to you about the FY '26 MDOT Consolidated Transportation Program County Priority Letter. So I'll just briefly run through what we do every year. What is the CTP? What is the process we have to go through? What are the highlights of this year's proposed letter? What are the next steps? And if you have any questions. So, as a reminder, and I'm sure you all know, the CTP is Maryland's 6-year capital budget for transportation projects. It contains projects and programs across the MDOT departments. Annually, each county submits their letter of transportation priorities to MDOT. This year, the deadline for that is May 16th. It changed a little bit this year, partly because of some state legislation. So we had a little bit more time to prepare it and to find out what was expected of us. So the list of priorities in the county includes state highways and roads, town urban reconstruction projects, and bike ped facilities. This year, the timing is that we've been working with the other agencies and any of the towns that were involved over the last couple months. We removed projects that have been completed, and in this year's, we only raised 1 or 2 new issues. But typically, as you know, we try to keep the letter consistent and moving along so that we have success in getting these projects put in. The next bullet is where we are now, where you review and approve our priority letter, and then by May 16th, we submit it to the state. In September and October, as you'll recall, the Secretary of MDOT participates in county tour meetings with elected officials. That looks like last year's.
Yeah, my hair was long.
That could have been the year before, actually. Yeah, sorry, it's 2023.
Say you?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
It is. Sorry. At that time, the draft CTP is distributed and the county's priorities are discussed. And then January of the following year, the Secretary of MDOT presents the CTP to the legislature, and the legislature approves the CTP for the upcoming fiscal year. So this is the 12-month process that we are going through right now. So as in recent years, we have 5 highway capacity enhancing projects in this letter. They are Maryland 97, Maryland 32, Maryland 26, Maryland 140, and I won't read the boundaries, but we'll go through each one individually, and Maryland 27. And you made the decision a few years ago to include those, but that is not necessarily the priority of them.
That's a blank sign. What am I supposed to do when I'm driving down the road? I see a blank sign.
Claire?
Call Chris Litnach and he.
Yes, we'll know.
Good answer.
So the first project, and this is Maryland 97 from 496 to 140 in Westminster. This project scope is to widen the roadway from 3 to 5 lanes with a full interchange at Meadow Branch Road and pedestrian facilities. Several years ago, and again, that's the ultimate for this one. This isn't a breakout project or anything. This is the ultimate improvement of the corridor. Several years ago, this project was moved up front to prioritize a feasibility study, which has been underway for the past several years. It is expected, it is complete, it's under internal review at SHA, and it is expected to be released by the end of the fiscal year. At that time, we can identify some breakout projects for next fiscal year. The second project that has always been among the highest is Maryland 32 from Maryland 26 south to the Carroll County line. Again, this ultimate project scope is to go from 2 to 4 lanes, including pedestrian facilities and other amenities at appropriate locations. You may recall there was a 2018 MDOT Pell study that did conclude that the ultimate improvements would not be necessary before 2040, but they did address some specialized needs. And there has been one breakout project for this that has been in the works now for a number of years. It's currently, these are geometric improvements between 2nd Street and Main on 32. The design for this project is being funded, and the project is underway. 2 years ago, the construction funds were briefly put in to the CTP and then taken out. So this letter is requesting restoration of the construction funds for this project.
And just remind me really quick, what is a breakout project again?
It's 5 geometric improvements. I could go over them for you if you want me to, or I could send them to you.
You send them to me, just a
Okay.
brief idea, so it has to do with geometric improvements in general.
In that- yes,
Breakout project, okay.
yes.
Thank you.
A lot of them are extending just turn lanes and making those improvements.
Thank you very much.
And they're exactly what was in the Pell study. So we took their number one priority from that Pell study, and that's what has been requested and is in design.
Thank you.
So the third of the 5 priorities is Maryland 26 Maryland 26 from 32 east to the reservoir. In July 2022, SHA completed a corridor study that again found some breakout projects and a more practical design approach than the full widening. We also have a breakout project for this. This breakout project is to convert the eastbound Maryland 26 right turn only lane to right turn and through lane at Georgetown Boulevard through to Homeland Drive. This is in concept and that is underway, and we are requesting the design funds for that. The fourth of the priorities is Maryland 140 from the Carroll County line to west of 91. This is a gateway to the county and one of the most heavily traveled roads in the county. The ultimate improvements are a 4-lane divided roadway with a full interchange at Maryland 91 and access management improvements. This year, for the first time, we are requesting, we called it here a Pell study, but in some conversations we had this week with SHA, we are going to change that to an advanced planning study, which is a little less specific for this area, so that the results of this, as with all of our other projects, we would get the results from this and be able to identify further breakout projects to improve safety, access, connectivity, and circulation. So that is a new request this year for that study. And the last of the priority capacity enhancing projects is Maryland 27 from the Carroll County line to Lashire Road. This includes the widening of the roadway to a consistent 4 lanes, dedicated turn lanes, signalized traffic control, boulevard separation of lanes, and controlled intersections to allow pedestrian crossings. Breakout projects, we will work with SHA to identify breakout projects as development proceeds in Mount Airy, because that's really what that is, the specific projects would be dependent on. As with other years, we have 2 urban reconstruction projects, also called streetscape projects, and these are improvements to bicycle and pedestrian facilities as well as streetscape amenities. The 2 projects that have been in here for years are 851 Sykesville Main Street and Maryland 31 in New Windsor. So the first one in Sykesville Main Street, the concept has been completed for this project, but it is not currently funded for design. County water and sewer upgrades and SHA drainage improvements are now complete. That's been ongoing for several years. So we are looking for construction funding for this. Also included in the letter, this was at the request of the town last year, are improvements to the existing bridge over the South Branch Patapsco River to allow for safe pedestrian connection to South Branch Park. And the second streetscape project in New Windsor, there's been a little progress on this, so with the town. So this project will include improvements to sidewalks, enhancements to bicycle and pedestrian accessibility, as well as roadway improvements. It will be coordinated with the replacement of water lines within the limits of the streetscape. We've been informed that that water main improvement project is now complete. Currently, we've been told that, I believe in May, SHA will be repaving that, and then they will be looking at doing some streetscape improvements. So this is our second request, as usual. I'm going to turn this over to our bike ped expert, Claire, to explain to you.
So we have one project under Bike Ped. That's the Patapsco Regional Greenway in South Carroll area. This is a 40-mile shared use trail concept from downtown historic Sykesville to the Inner Harbor. And on this next slide, I have a map. To the west, from Sykesville to Freedom Park, we have shared use paths, on-road facilities, and then boardwalk structures that are envisioned. And then on the east, from Freedom Park to the McKeldin area, we have natural surface trail. And this is a project the county is working on in partnership with Maryland Park Service, and MDOT SHA, Baltimore Metropolitan Council, and the town of Sykesville.
So this is, the next two are not capacity-enhancing projects, but concerns that you have included in past year's letters that we are repeating. The current request, the request in front of you is from the Department of Public Works, and it's a concern about Maryland 140 at the turnaround for the landfill. The current turnarounds are not adequate for safe movements of multi-axle vehicles, so safety enhancements should include a new entrance, eliminating U-turns at the entrance, and widening of Maryland 140 at the current turnarounds, development possibly of jug handles and signaling. And that is something that they are working with SHA on. And the second has been in the priority letter now for a few years at the request of Taneytown and Commissioner Vigliotti, to include the Taneytown bypass in the highway needs inventory, which is the first step in getting something into further plans, and especially the CTP. We have been told the HNI is almost complete, and the bypass will be included in it, but we're keeping it in the letter until that's released.
Thank you very much for that.
So our next steps are finishing preparation. If you have any comments or anything you want to add, presenting it to you for further discussion in 2 weeks. If you would approve the letter at that time, we could submit it to MDOT by May 16th. And that's all we have. Do you have any questions?
The Maryland 27 requested improvements. So I know we had several meetings with the town at one point about how they would cross 27, and I think the ball's in their court. I think we provided them with enough information, so hopefully they come up with something that is safe and works well eventually when some of the development, some of the planned development is supposed to take place. So I think we've probably had this discussion the past couple of years as well. There are roughly, approximately 550 planned housing units for the town of Mount Airy going in on 2 separate projects. So I'm trying to understand why the state wouldn't take a look at this request and sort of force something in terms of improvements on 27 if all those housing units are going to go in. And it does sound like they're going to go in, including punching through Main Street out to 27. So at some point, will the county take that into account, the state take that into account and either force improvements, force some sort of planning, strategic planning to account for all those housing units that are going to go in?
I believe the state is involved in the development review process. I don't know specifically what they would be requiring for the projects you're speaking of, but they are involved in the process, and they do review the traffic impact studies. So I don't know specifically. I can find out for you before we come back what their role has been in reviewing those, and if they plan on requiring any improvements.
All right, yeah, I appreciate it. I mean, kind of a rhetorical question, actually, as well. So I would hope they'd be involved at some level,
Yes.
and then the town is also taking that into account and communicating that effectively with the state as well, because that's a lot of extra traffic, obviously, and the interchange, the intersections there are already at capacity, so.
I can get you specific information if you want.
If it's available, that'd be
Okay.
great, but I can always pass it on to the folks in Mount Airy as well. Thanks.
Are there any requested changes to the letter before we would bring it back to you for a final approval?
Not for me.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Be back in 2 weeks.
Promise or threat?
Heard kind of related but unrelated to this letter, the boardwalk on 27.
Oh.
Can we get who can we get an update about that from?
26, on 26 or 27?
27.
27.
Out by 84 Lombard.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
North of
Okay,
And,
gotcha.
and my understanding is when that's completed, it's ours.
Yes.
So,
Right now, it's being completed in 4 phases. It is under construction. I think SHA, on their website, their deadline is about this time next year. They do anticipate completion maybe a couple months sooner at this time. And I think Chris might have a little bit more information on
who advertised it, who bid it, who's paying for it, and is it really ours?
The state, and yes.
What I thought.
You may have
And-
more
and
specific
does anybody
information.
know the limits?
Yeah, it's because it's related to park pedestrian
Yep.
ways, and therefore the state said the county can have this after we pay for it and build it.
So where does it start and stop?
It starts at, there's some existing sidewalk along 27 towards Main Street, and it will go into Bennett Surf. Yep.
And the good news is there's going to be a Fisher's popcorn put up there and Thrasher's fries.
You could get your burger cookies there too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we're going to talk about development review fees and continue the discussion from last meeting for projects located in Tonytown.
Yes, good morning.
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 Let's see. Yeah, so as you mentioned, we're here back from last week, and in the interim, put together a couple of very simple slides just to help illustrate the concept that we're talking about. So, that was interesting. I've never had that. Yeah, with music, multimedia. So just as a refresher, our development review process goes through 3 distinct phases, concept, preliminary, and final, and we have development review fees at each of those 3 phases. So the idea of concept is really looking at a project through the lens of, is this project feasible? Identifying the big design constraints and so on that would affect the design before a developer really gets into the meat of the design, so they're not wasting money and time and effort to do any detailed engineering.
Bless you.
And typically, the plans that are submitted for a concept are about 35% complete. So you can imagine a site plan for a typical project may only have 3 or 4 plan sheets to review the ideas and the concepts behind it. The next phase is preliminary. That's where the majority of the engineering, behind the scenes engineering gets done and really nails down the site. And a typical site plan could grow from upwards of 10 plan sheets or many more. It really locks down the site design, the site layout, so that everybody all the reviewers are aware of exactly what is being proposed. And typically plans are about 65% complete at that point. And then the final phase is at final, and that's where all of the construction details are added to the construction drawings. So exactly how the contractor is going to build what has been agreed to at preliminary. So once those plans are done, they're 100% complete, and they are signed and sealed by an engineer or surveyor, and they're put out to bid for construction. So those are the 3 phases that we go through. So kind of best simple diagram I could come up with was that for a county review process, we have those 3 phases, and then we have review fees at each one. And a developer would submit those 35%, 65%, and 100% complete plans at each of those. Now, there's nothing magical about those 35% and 65%. Certainly, if a developer wanted to submit even 100% complete plans at concept, they certainly could do so. The concern there would be is that when we look at a project through the lens of concept, if we identify a significant issue, a significant design issue, that means a lot of rework for the developer and of detailed engineering work and plan production and so on that we'd have to go back and change. And additionally, it'd be a lot of work for county staff as well, because now we're reviewing a 100% complete plan and identifying what maybe one significant issue that then causes the whole plan to be redone. So that's why it's for both our benefits and the developers that we maintain this 3-phase process and so on. So when we have a municipality involved, ideally we stay in sync with this, is that the municipality, they do their own reviews, we do our reviews, and those 35%, 65%, and 100% plans are submitted and go through our processes. Where the discussion was brought about for the topic for today is that the Taneytown review process, and they require basically a 35% complete set of plans to be submitted to them before they even come to the county. So the Taneytown staff take a look at the plan, they take it to their Planning and Zoning Commission and give a green light to the developer to move forward. At that point, the developer puts together 65% complete plans and submits it to Taneytown for their preliminary review. But that's when they start engaging the county. And so those 65% plans get submitted to us, and we take it through our normal concept, preliminary, and final review process. And then we're pretty much synced up when it comes to the final plans, the 100% plans. So that's been the topic, and there's a developer that has basically contended that, well, if Taneytown does a concept review, should they have to pay review fees for the county to perform a concept review? And then I have the details that we shared with you of the 2 projects that we've been looking at. Garnet Ridge, which is a 50-unit project, and those are the fees associated with it. And then Mountain Brook, which is a 281 residential unit subdivision. So happy to answer any questions.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for those graphics, because they really do help make sense of I guess for me, some of the confusion that I had last week. So thank you very much for including those. As far as the asynchronous movement between what Taneytown does and what we do, so I guess my first question is, does anything prevent the developer at the concept review phase from also submitting to us at the same time? Like if they do it for there's nothing that would prevent them from. And then just for my own edification and to remind myself from last week, what we do with the concept review and what a municipality does with the concept, they're not necessarily the same things. We may be looking at certain aspects, they're looking at different aspects, but they just both happen to fall, or they all happen to fall under that appellation of concept review.
Correct,
Okay.
yes. Yes, so, and for further clarification, there are some changes that we're going through right now, right? So I've mentioned before, we're implementing Project Docs as a software application that's going to support the development review process. And my intent is that we will be meeting with every municipality to talk through their individual processes. And we have a meeting set up with Taneytown for next Tuesday. And our intention is that the municipalities will be using Project Docs for their involvement in our reviews, our review process. So they'll be able to log in, review the plans that have been submitted and so on. But at the same time, I want to talk with them about their overall processes and understand their processes better to see if we can dovetail and work together better for greater efficiency for the development community in general. And as you mentioned, Commissioner, it's absolutely feasible for a developer to initiate with Laura and her staff a pre-submittal meeting and start the concept process at the same time that they submit to Tawnytown. And if that's something that Tawnytown wishes to enforce from their perspective, because again, it's their process, we're just a piece of their process. If that's something they want to force and makes things more efficient, then I am all for it.
I will certainly have that conversation with the mayor. I
Okay.
suggest that to him.
And I think for these two projects we're discussing today, they submitted 65%. And that's why, to me, we talked about the possible motions, and I think we'd be very foolish to exempt future projects. These two, we know what they submitted, and I personally think there was some savings between the concept and preliminary. And for discussion, I'd like to make a motion that we reduce the review fees for both projects by essentially waiving the fee for the concept. And I understand they've already paid it, but you can take it out of the next one.
No, understood.
So I'd like to see that for these two projects, not for future. And I don't know if anybody's interested in seconding that or not.
Wait, you want to discuss it further?
Technically need a second.
I'll second for discussion.
Okay.
Yeah. So I want to hear what you have to say about it.
Say again?
I want to hear what you have to say about it.
Well, it's kind of, his chart shows it. The Tawnytown review process, they submitted 65% complete plans on Tawnytown's preliminary review, which was our concept and preliminary review. And I feel like there's some savings in that, and the reason I said concept fee, in one case that's the cheapest one, in the other case it's one of the two cheapest ones. So that's why I thought that one should be waived, not one further along.
So even though, and Chris and Laura, both of you, please correct me if I'm wrong. So even though, if I'm a developer and I'm submitting plans at this stage, my preliminary plans, but they come to the county and they fall under both concept and preliminary, even though I may be further ahead in the process for the municipality, I mean, there's still work that has to occur at the county level, right? I mean, it's not like it's by being 65% complete, I should be able to skip a step or breeze through it, right? I mean, there's still stuff that we have to check from our end, right? Okay.
Yes.
And I assume once we get to a more efficient review with the technology, then we'll look at again all fees.
We certainly can if you wish us to.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Yes. Because we're pretty comfortable that our fees do not cover our costs.
Correct. You're absolutely correct.
So any more discussion?
So I've been trying to play catch up on this issue. I obviously empathize with the developers on this case because some of those costs are significant. It's the ad hoc nature that we're having this discussion, which makes me uncomfortable, especially when it seems to me we've got so many opportunities ahead of us to review efficiencies and how things are doing. And you've talked about an electronic documents program, and we had somebody from the engineering firm in here last week, and they advocated for this, and I have a ton of respect for that particular engineering firm, and they've always
Yes.
been straight shooters, so. But but I've also brought up some of the other fees we do, you know, with municipalities and things we share of that nature. It seems like there's just a lot to review here, and I'm not comfortable taking this action if we feel as though we need to take a look at the entire process. So I hope we do that. I think we've talked about it enough amongst the 5 of us here in public that it's something we need to do. And I think we had some pretty good studies with permits and things like that nature, looking at those. We've raised some fees as well. But it's the process and the efficiencies that concern me the most. I hope we can try to address those at some point.
Yeah, and I believe there was something you mentioned last week that just provide a little bit of clarification. So I'm not very familiar with the permits and inspection fees, but my understanding is that there are some dollars that go back to the municipalities. That is not the case with these development review fees. Those are to cover county costs. We do not provide any fees back. Some of the municipalities charge their own fees for some of the work that they do and are responsible for. But we are not involved in that. There's no cost sharing back and forth.
Correct. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, which I'm glad you got input from Tony Town on this. My only comment on that, and I think I answered everybody, replied to everybody. They don't get any of our fees. They don't set our fees. And if they're concerned about their fees, they need to adjust them. And we don't care how they adjust their fees. Any other comments or questions? I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
No.
So how many noes?
It's 3-2. So it's 3 yes, 2 no.
It lost 2-3.
No.
It
Passed.
yeah, I couldn't hear you guys.
That's all right.
Tom, you and I said
Voted
yes.
yes. Okay,
Two
so
said no.
it passed 3-2.
3-2.
Okay. Yeah, I couldn't hear you two at the same time.
That's okay.
Sorry.
Right, very
Thank
good.
you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And the motion made sense on, and
Yes,
you
yep,
have.
yep, we know exactly what to do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item is APC Symetra and Cooling Units Service.
Good morning to you both.
Morning,
Morning.
Commissioners.
Morning.
The Office of Procurement, in cooperation with the Department of Technology Services, requests your approval to renew the contract for APC Symetra and Cooling Unit Service with Chesapeake Mission Critical in the amount of $65,286. This is a one-year renewal with a second-year renewal option available pending fiscal availability and satisfactory performance. The first-year total is $32,643. The first-year renewal is approved in the FY25 adopted budget. Morning, Commissioners. This is actually up at the New Windsor Center. It is in an equipment closet, and what it is it's first of all the backup units that the electricity would go out in that building to keep the computers running up there, and then the second portion, the cooling units. If you've ever picked up your iPad or your iPhone or your computer and you felt it being a little bit warm, you can imagine how hot it can get inside a computer room when you've got dozens and dozens of pieces of equipment in there. So those are the cooling units to help keep the equipment there, temperature at the right levels.
Motion to renew the contract for APC Symetra and Cooling Unit Service with Chesapeake Mission Critical in the amount of $65,286.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. My question is, and we've done this more than just now, so the first year's total is approved in this budget, and the next year's will be approved in the next budget, but we don't have to revisit this because we're making a motion to accept both.
Correct. As long as it's budgeted next year, we do not have to come back before you.
Yes. Yes. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, approval to purchase a John Deere utility tractor with a flex wing rotary cutter. I love those. They're so versatile. I wish I could afford one.
Same here. Same here.
Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you for your
Morning.
move.
The Office of Procurement, in collaboration with the Bureau of Fleet Management Warehouse Operations, requests approval to purchase one John Deere 51008 utility tractor and one FC15M Flex Wing rotary cutter from John Deere and Company for $111,935.80. This purchase will be made through the State of Maryland Grounds Maintenance Equipment Contract, which was competitively bid. The expenditure is within the approved fiscal year 25 budget.
These units are replacements for the Bureau of Solid Waste, and Solid Waste is represented by Dwight Amos, if there's any questions for him. The updated tractor and flex wing cutters are essential for the mowing of slopes and grounds at all county landfills locations, ensuring continued maintenance and operational efficiency. The ETA of the cutter is November, and the tractor itself would be about 6 weeks after we give them a purchase order. Once the replacements are in, the existing units will be sold at auction. Unfortunately, due to age and condition, it's been impossible for me to try to determine a value. It's going to be, at that time, what two people can come together on.
Motion to approve the purchase of one John Deere 5100M utility tractor and one FC15M Flex Wing rotary cutter from Deere and Company at a cost of $111,935.80.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or further discussion?
You gonna go to the auction? You gonna go to the auction to try to get the?
I like this one, this mower better than the one they're auctioning.
21-year-old mower, I don't think so.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Now we're going to talk about Department of Fire and Emergency Medical Services upfitting.
The Office of Procurement and the Bureau of Fleet Management Warehouse Operations appeared before the board in September 2024 and received approval to award a contract to First Priority Emergency Vehicles. The contract in the amount of $28,830.59 was for the upfitting of one vehicle for the DFEMS. Since that time, 2 change orders have been issued totaling $6,525.43. This amount exceeds 10% of the original contract value, and in accordance with Resolution Number 1162-2022, delegation of authority requires board approval to authorize the expenditure of the additional funds. The increased costs are due to the inclusion of the Chevrolet Core System Bundle, additional electric work, and LED lighting upgrades for the vehicle. These additional funds have been approved in the fiscal year 25 budget.
I'll move the board approve the additional costs to First Priority Emergency Vehicle in the amount of $6,525.43.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion?
The only discussion is, I understand why they have to buy ordinance come in front of us. Can we make a dollar threshold along with a percentage? Like, if it's above a certain percent, they come to us, but if it's under $10,000, they can, it's this or that. I mean, how do we?
It's all part of that resolution that the board signed a few years ago, delegating authority to the staff. So yes, you could change your delegation of authority.
I'd like to consider us looking at that. You know, it may not come up a lot, but, you know, we're giving certain authorities, and us sitting up here approving a $6,000 change order. I think if we make that adjustment to either, I won't say just arbitrary, 10, 15, 20, 25, I think we should have that conversation, so.
No, I would agree with you.
I mean, let staff, and allow them to make decisions. so, but,
We can,
it's nothing that we have to rush into, but I just want to bring it up
Yeah.
as a discussion that we have that consideration.
I'm okay with, as a matter of fact, I mean, we talked a couple of months ago at this point about, and Tim and I are going to meet to look at the delegation of authority thing as well. So having the conversation about tightening up certain things, or maybe in some cases expanding certain things, I think a good overall discussion about it wouldn't hurt. So yes, I'm in favor of it, yeah.
Yep.
Okay. That's all.
Okay, we have a motion, and a second for this. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And then, do we need to do more to look at, in other words, right now, it's 10%. Any change order in excess of 10%, we could easily make it 10% or $10,000, which, or
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, but again, that's, just
we need to
direction,
look at it.
direction to staff to make that consideration and present to us. So, that's all.
not a problem. Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And thank you for your faith in the staff also.
Absolutely.
Thank you. So now a purchase of advanced metering infrastructure system for Public Works.
Well, some of the staff. Now Andrew's coming on.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
The Office of Procurement, in cooperation with the Bureau of Utilities, requests Board of Commissioners approval to award a contract for the purchase of a Census Advanced Metering infrastructure system to LB Water Services, Inc. of Frederick, Maryland, in the amount of $289,199.81. This award will be made via a single source from a current Carroll County term contractor. The bid amount is within the adopted budget.
So, gentlemen, this is a pretty exciting moment for my bureau. We presently do what are called drive-by readings of meters, meaning a staff member drives by in his pickup truck and reads most of the meters within X number of feet. Prior to that, we actually walked around meter to meter with a logbook and wrote down the actual meter value numbers and used that to generate billings. Once that came to pass, the staff had wands, and they actually touched a meter reader box at the various water meters throughout the county. So the drive-by reading concept was the current state of the art. This new approach involves the installation of two-way radio towers on our water storage tanks in Bark Hill, Pleasant Valley, and the Freedom area. And we're also going to use the Old North pump, the Old North pumping station in Hampstead for the reader for the Hampstead a meter system for our use for the sewer bills. So basically, this AMI system will work seamlessly with our current iPearl water meters, and also very importantly has a proven track record with the Tyler Financial System that the Comptroller's Office has just came on board with. Presently, our current water meters and the system that we operate under can only store 30 days worth of water service usage. That becomes a problem when we have quarterly billings and people question their bills, and we can only go back with 30 days worth of data. So this new system will store every reading that we can possibly take, and the tower system will read the meters on an hourly basis rather than a daily basis that is currently done. And then the other key point with this whole system is as our iPearl water system, meter systems start to become obsolete and they're upgraded, the newer meters will be able to interact with this tower, with this AMI system that will allow staff here in the building to shut the meters off remotely in the event of the alarm systems going off that may identify service leaks and so forth. So it's a huge improvement for us. And then the other side note is it will free up my 5-member staff for more pressing tasks within our service areas. So as per the briefing paper, the scope of work for this purchase includes the infrastructure equipment, the installation, licensing, training, and support services for a 3-year period. Following this 3-year period, the annual costs are estimated to be approximately $30,000. Any questions for me about this?
Does this come out of the enterprise funds?
It does, absolutely.
So, you know, we increased recently our utility fees for water and sewer. Looking at that, this is an example of the reason why we increase fees, to ensure we have up-to-date systems and technology to provide us the best water and sewer services that we can have and most efficient. Yeah. So it's just, Mr. Zaleski highlighted that during budget discussions, you know, when he goes to libraries, and, you know, sharing that we up here increased utility fees. This is an example of why, you know, we're doing things for the right reasons. Nobody wants to increase fees. Nobody wants to increase anything as far as taxes or fees. But this is a good example of why increasing fees makes a difference, and keeps us, you know, the services we want. So, you know, I just want to make sure I got that out there, because it's enterprise funds and it's how we use utility fees. So, okay.
And also, please keep in mind that the majority of our infrastructure in the Freedom District was built in the 70s and 80s.
Right.
And we are reaching the end of the useful service life for many of those components. So this board will hear many projects from me in the upcoming several years with respect to rehabbing those components.
Right.
Between technology and wear and tear and whatever, what's the expected life for something like this?
I don't believe that there is a known lifespan. I think it'll go on forever, essentially, with minor upgrades and so forth. We do own the water tower, so the cost of that real estate, for lack of a better word, is already in our system.
Motion to award a contract for the purchase of a Census Advanced Metering Infrastructure System to LB Water Service Incorporated in the amount of $289,199.81.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Purchase of a Pipe Hunter Sidekick easement machine.
Sidekick.
The Office of Procurement in cooperation with the Bureau of Utilities requests Board of Commissioners approval to award a contract for the purchase of a Pipe Hunter Sidekick easement machine to Atlantic Machinery, Inc. of Silver Spring, Maryland, in the amount of $73,180.00. This purchase will be made from the competitively bid State of Virginia Sheriff's contract. The proposal amount is within the adopted budget.
So, gentlemen, many of our sewer mains are outside of the roadway network. And Chris, if you could pop that photo up for me, please. Many of our sewer mains are in the easement areas that are overgrown with brush. Commissioner
in there
Rothstein,
for
you saw that. I'm sorry. You saw that for that bike pathway, I believe, near the reserve area several years ago.
Yep.
They're very badly overgrown. Thank you. So this easement machine, and I have a bet with my supervisor that I will not call it a sidewinder, but a sidekick. So it's that's in my head for some reason. So this is a self-propelled track machine, and it will essentially extend our jet vac system by an additional 800 feet of reach. The jet vac system is what we use to clean out blockages and manholes and sewer mains throughout our system. So with our mains not readily in roadway systems for a large part, it is very challenging for us to reach the off the beaten track areas during blockages. So this machine will make it a lot easier for staff to respond and keep our sewer mains fully functioning.
When this need is necessary, in the past, we have leased this type of capability?
We could have definitely have used this in the past. We struggled with hauling in hoses by manpower, and they were short in a lot of instances. So we had to come up with other ways of opening up the blockages that took a lot more time, and some of those did result in spills
Yep.
as well.
Motion to award a contract for the purchase of a pipe hunter sidekick easement machine to Atlantic Machinery Incorporated in the amount of $73,180.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Lastly, Public Safety Training Center block building roof replacement.
Good morning, good morning.
Good morning.
The Office of Procurement, in cooperation with the Bureau of Building Construction, requests your approval to complete the removal and replacement of the metal roof installation of metal cladding on the entire exterior gutters and downspouts on the block building at the Public Training Safety Center using Garland DBS Inc. in the amount of $399,897. Garland DBS Inc. was awarded a competitively bid contract PW 1925 from Omnia Partners. Apex Construction of Silver Spring, Maryland is an authorized agent of Garland DBS Inc. will perform the work. This amount is within the adopted fiscal year 25 budget.
All right, good morning. So this is at our Public Safety Training Center campus. It's the old white building that kind of sits there as soon as you come in on the left, across from the classroom building. So it currently is a vacant building, and our goal is to kind of condense all of the fire and EMS storage throughout the campus. They're in all different buildings right now. Have all of that happen in this one building as soon as you come onto the campus. The interior portion of this will be coming in front of you guys next week, but we did split it out into two separate packages. And this is just simply the roof, exterior, and the cladding we're gonna make sure matches the classroom building right there on campus, so we can kind of give it a complete look as you're driving in.
The sheriff department had stuff in there. Is that now emptied?
It is empty. They
Okay.
were in there.
They were, yeah. Okay.
And this building, sooner or later, there's going to be more construction out there, but this building will remain even during that
Yes, correct.
process.
Yep.
Motion to approve the roof improvements at the Public Safety Training Center to Garland DBS Incorporated in the amount of $399,897.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
Do we have any public comment either here or on the phone?
I have no one on the line, sir.
You haven't, like, disconnected that line or something, have you?
No, I haven't. I don't think Wanda's changed it either.
Thank you. Administrative session open. Do we want to say more about looking at fees for permits and plan review, et cetera? Do we want to direct any review, or are we already doing it? What do we need to, I know you brought that up during the motion, and I don't know when we've last reviewed that kind of thing, and if we should.
It sounds like, well, obviously, we've been doing budget, and we're hopefully almost done with that, about less than a month out. Perhaps we can get something going on the agenda, direct staff to try to put all that together. It sounds like if we want to have a comprehensive discussion, it's going to be land and resource management and planning together with the information we've gotten from DPW for permitting. So I would concur with that approach if we
I
want
mean,
to
they're
come up with something.
totally separate. The
They're
fees
totally.
have no relationship.
I know that. I understand. That was my point. But it's still an issue of efficiencies and cost savings and money that the county's either spending or giving back. So I don't know. I would like to see us
When
look at
was
that. I
the
don't know the
last
best way to
time
do
So
it.
either-
about a month ago, we had the review of the permit fees, and certainly we can do a deeper dive. This topic was specifically to one particular aspect of development review fees. Certainly, staff can come in and go over what they are, but at this point, ready to accept it. We have no direction about what you want to do with the fees. Like, you had the overview with the permit fees, so, more than happy to have staff come back, but what do you want us to prepare to do with those fees,
Yeah,
if anything?
I think I've discussed some of the plan review fees, and that's why I mentioned today that I'm convinced we don't recover all our costs.
Well, we don't, not even close. I mean,
Yeah.
there are about 12 or 13 different areas, and we charge for 5. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so in development review.
Yes, yes.
Try to keep, I mean, we have fees for, rec and parks, we have fees for, I mean, there are several departments, landfill and utilities and, so there are several departments that have individual fees, and I would recommend you keep them, in their own little compartments, because they don't really relate to one another. The development review fees are the only ones that go across bureaus, I would say.
So you're right. I mean, and DPW did put together things for us, so I think
On the
that's probably the logical place to go if we want to have that discussion about what those fees look like. I think we have that information.
Yeah, the permits fee. So just
okay,
need to know what you'd like staff to come back with, that's all,
Okay.
So they presented the overview.
Yeah, they might not have to come back with anything on the DPW side. It sounds like we've got everything we need. Okay.
Or, I don't know, I mean, if you want a recommendation or you just want, I don't know. But anyway, so let me know. We're happy to do it. And development review fees, we can go over those anytime you want in the next few weeks. And any others. Rec and Parks come periodically with their entrance fees and other fees. I think they do it every couple years, sort of on a schedule. And then you review landfill fees and utility fees as part of your, budget deliberations usually. And so any others you're interested in. None others are leaping to mind at the moment, but I'm sure there are.
Yeah,
I'm totally open to the discussion about fees. I'm totally in favor of the discussion and seeing, as everybody had mentioned up here, whether or not they need to be renewed or upped or lowered or whatever the case might be.
So where do we want to start? Do we want to just see their fee structure, or
I think
how deep do we want to go to start?
Well, I think you're right. To start, let's look at what exists so we can get a sense of what it is that we're looking at.
Are we speaking specifically of development review? Because you've had that on permits.
Right.
They went over the fees that we currently charge. So do you want this similar kind of thing for development review?
Yeah.
Okay.
Have a sense of them, yeah.
Yeah. We'll
Okay.
start there and go from there.
Okay.
No problem.
Any other discussion in admin open?
Just, again, as shared, the meeting with, the briefing that Mr. Zaleski provided, somebody in the audience was from the Civil War Heritage, and I just wanted to pass that along, that she's looking for the funding or, putting it out there. No discussion, but just conversation, bring it up, that's all.
Yeah, well, and Ted does a summary of some of those, but
Yeah.
doesn't get,
His summary to us
yes,
really didn't say much except that, and it was true, the most of the focus was on education. But that was brought up and the woman spoke for a few minutes on it.
okay, so she
I-
did speak.
Yes, so I just wanted to share that with you.
Yeah, thank you. And we have, is he half done?
No, he's done 2 out of 5.
2 out of 5, okay, or
Yes.
done.
One tonight and in Mount Airy, as Commissioner
Then 2
Gary
next
mentioned,
week.
and 2 next week.
Yeah,
So he's done Westminster, Eldersburg, soon to do Mount Airy, and then
And-
Hampstead and Tawnytown.
and then we have the public hearing, which we'll hear
Yes.
from a lot of people, I bet,
Hopefully,
yeah.
always good
Okay.
if you do.
Hey, thanks. Yeah, good. I think that's important, and I'm going to try to go to the one at North Carroll. I don't think I have a conflict, and I'll do the same thing. If anything comes up, I'll mention it at our next meeting. Any other discussion? I guess we're ready for agenda review.
Morning,
Morning.
Wanda. How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Do you really care? Are you asking in sincerity?
Oh, absolutely
I
sincere.
just want to make sure.
Not as concerned about you, though.
I know that. Just asking.
Are we ready? You two done?
We're ready.
I think, yeah.
We're ready.
Monday, April 28th, Taste of Carroll, down at the Stratosphere, Commissioners Gordon and Kyler.
I'll be attending that as well to ensure Commissioner Kyler doesn't taste too much. But I will be there.
On Tuesday, DFEMS first annual awards event at Flood Zone, all 5 of us. On Wednesday, Freedom District Lions Club, Commissioner Rothstein, and 6 p.m. is a in-person solar hearing, and I'll be at that. On Thursday, we have the annual Sheriff's Prayer Breakfast at 7 a.m. And we feel we're safe starting at 9, correct? Everybody feels like
Yeah.
we should be back by then. So 9 a.m. Open session, Foster Care Month proclamation, Older Americans Month proclamation, and purchase a Kohler diesel generator, public comment, admin open, agenda review, and at noon we will do closed admin that we normally do during the breakfast. And 6 p.m. Citizens Planning Academy, Commissioner Guerin. And I'll check. I can't remember if Vivian allowed me to go that or not.
Yeah, I'm on there as well. It's on my calendar. So I just kind of do what Vivian tells me to do, and it's there.
On Friday, Battle of the Books at Francis Scott Key. On Saturday, CCPS Agribusiness Group Big Country Breakfast. And that's always a good event, good food, and a good cause. On Sunday, Commissioner Vigliotti does the podcast, wreath laying ceremony of Maryland National Guard, at Kyler and Rothstein, and a veteran celebration at noon, Commissioners Guerin, Kyler, and Rothstein.
Yeah, Ms. Hill, I'll be unable to attend that. Yeah.
And Wanda, I will be in attendance at that.
And I
Thank
will
you.
also be in attendance.
Thank you.
Okay, the next week, Monday, May 5th shows open. On Tuesday, Commissioner Vigliotti's Chamber of Commerce breakfast. Commissioners Kyler, Rothstein, and Vigliotti.
Maybe I should skip that. Maybe I should skip.
Yeah, maybe.
I'll do it for you.
You could, like, tape it or just give us written comments.
I could send my dogs in and let them do
Yeah.
the presentation.
At 7 p.m., public hearing for the proposed budget at the Carroll Arts Center, and all of us will be there. Wednesday shows open. Thursday, closed admin at 8, open session at 9. National Travel and Tourism Week proclamation. Baltimore Gas and Electric Company briefing. Consolidated Transportation Plan, that'll be our vote on what we reviewed today. On the next item, authorization and bond allocation to the state's Maryland Mortgage Program on behalf of Carroll County Citizen Services. Public comment, admin open, agenda review, Boys and Girls Club Youth of the Year, Commissioners Kyler and Rothstein. At 5 p.m., Friday shows open, Saturday, 21st Annual Convention for the Carroll County Volunteer Emergency Services at Harney, Commissioner Gordon. And the 36th graduation celebrate for Electrical Apprentice Program at Community College, Commissioner Gordon. And I'll double check my schedule on that one too. and then I get to do the podcast. Have you written it yet?
I'm working on it. I gotta get my
No bi-
editors.
No
on it.
big words.
He's using AI, it's good.
No big words. Anything else?
Wanda, if you could add me to the Youth of the Year with Boys and Girls Club on, what is that, Thursday? Thank you.
Last year, you gave a scholarship.
Yeah, I've done that a couple years.
Yes. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
I motion a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.